Trucking giant Yellow declares bankruptcy after getting $700 million in government loans. Welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Here we go. Another bankruptcy. Trucking company Yellow Corp has declared bankruptcy after years of financial struggles and growing debt, making a significant shift for the U.S. transportation industry and shippers nationwide. The Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which was filed Sunday, comes just 3 years after Yellow received $700 million in pandemic era loans from the federal government. I don't even remember this happening about them. But, so many things going on during that time. A lot of things slipped under the radar. While Chapter 11 filing is used to restructure debt while operations continue, Yellow, like other trucking companies in recent years, will liquidate, and the U.S. will join other creditors unlikely to recover funds extended to the company. Yellow fell into severe financial stress after a long stretch of poor management and strategic decisions dating back decades. So this has been going on for decades that they've been having problems. One of the things that I read this earlier, they stated in this article, management had prices low, allegedly. I have to state that so I don't get sued. That probably hurt them more than anything else. They lowered the prices to a point where they can barely operate, and then they were supposed to probably raise prices and they never did because they kept getting the work. So they were thinking, if we can just squeak by another year, another year, another year, and decades passed. In 2019, two trucking companies, Celadon and New England Motor Freight, filed for bankruptcy protection and liquidated. Former Yellow customers and shippers may face higher prices as they take their business to competitors, including FedEx, ABF Freight. Experts say Yellow historically offered the cheapest price points in the industry. Like I was saying, that was the part I was talking about. They probably lowered their prices to a point where they just got by. They just scraped by and they didn't have no cash. Keeping cash on hand so that way you have your emergency fund. Even major corporations need to have an emergency fund. Did they have it? No, because they wouldn't be in this problem right now. It was with profound disappointment that Yellow announces that it is closing after nearly 100 years in business, CEO Darren Hawking said in a news release late Sunday. For generations, Yellow provided hundreds of thousands of Americans with solid, good-paying jobs and fulfilling careers. Yellow, formerly known as YRC Worldwide Incorporated, is one of the nation's largest less-than-truckload carriers. The Nashville, Tennessee-based company had 30,000 employees across the country. Yeah, and now a lot of people are going to be out of a job. The economy is not doing well. From all the bankruptcies, layoffs, store closures, different companies going out of business. I did a video on KTM. At first, I thought they weren't having that big of a deal, but then we found out that they're $3.5 billion in debt and they're in trouble, and most likely MV Goose is getting spun off. And then a company like this that delivers the goods that people purchase is not doing well due to mismanagement for decades, allegedly, and having prices too low. The Teamsters, which represent Yellow's 22,000 unionized workers, said last week that the company gave legal notice for bankruptcy filing and shut down operations in late July following layoffs of hundreds of non-union employees. There's one thing about being in a union, I'll tell you, even if you pay your dues, you're not the first ones to go. Even if your job is low on the totem pole, everyone else that is not a union member will go before you do. That's the good thing about being in a union. Teamsters General President Sean O'Brien called the news unfortunate but not surprising. Yeah, that right there, it's in parentheses, so that's being quoted. Unfortunate but not surprising. They already knew, probably, allegedly, that this company was been mismanaging for so long. They probably even told them, hey, you need to raise prices. And then, the company probably pushed back and said, well, they'll go to FedEx. Okay, at least be a little cheaper than FedEx. And I'm not talking about thousands of dollars. But if FedEx is $5,000 to ship a container unit, then you come in at 4,500 or 4,750. Unfortunately, but not surprising, lets me know that allegedly it sounds like they knew exactly what was going to happen. In a July 31st statement pointing to the financial chaos at Yellow, this is a sad day for workers and the American freight industry, he said. Customers had already started to leave the carrier in large numbers and that the company had stopped freight pickups. Those reports arrived just days after Yellow averted a strike from the Teamsters amid a heated contract negotiation. Yellow blamed the 9 month talks for the demise of the company, saying it was unable to institute a new business plan to modernize operations and make it more competitive during that time. You were at this for decades. You could have modernized at any time. You got $700 million loan from the government. What'd you do with it? Where to go? They need to investigate this. The company said it has asked the U.S. Bankruptcy Court in Delaware for permission to make payments, including for employee wages and benefits, taxes, and certain vendors essential to its business. Yellow has racked up hefty bills over the years. As of late March, Yellow had an outstanding debt of $1.5 billion. Of that, $729,200,000 was owed to the federal government. We, the taxpayers, ain't going to see that money back. In 2020, under the Trump administration, the Treasury Department granted the company $700 million in pandemic-era loans on national security grounds. The Teamsters supported the $700 million loan when it was first announced. Of course they did. Why wouldn't they? That means they get their money, allegedly. A congressional probe recently concluded that the Treasury and Defense Department made missteps in the decision and noted that Yellow's precarious financial position at the time of the loan and continued struggles exposed taxpayers to significant risk of loss. Here's my opinion. With $700 million that is owed to us taxpayers, I feel the government needs to step in, take over the company. I know the government's not in the business of running a company, but they did that with other companies before in the past. They need to run it, get it profitable, make sure they pay back the loan, plus interest, plus the same amount of the loan to go into a holding account for other companies that need loans that if they take that loan, the government gets it profitable, pays off the loan, keeps as many employees as they can, and then sells the company out to the public and then gets out of the business of running a business. That's my opinion and my thought on that situation with this company. As of June 30th, Yellow had paid $67 million in cash interest on the loan. So all they did was pay interest, which is due in 2024, the company said. Director Bruce Chang said ahead of the filing late last month, pointed to poor management and strategic decisions. You don't say. Interesting. Dating back to the early 2000s. At this point, after each party has bailed them out so many times, there is a limited appetite to do that anymore. Like I said, if the government's going to do any kind of bailout, it has to take over the company, put someone in charge, get back the money they loaned, double that, plus the interest, pay off all bills, and then sell the company out. Make it profitable, pay back the loans, pay back also on top of that, double the amount. So they get the 700 million back plus the interest from the loan plus another 700 million that goes into a holding account that's just held across maybe the three stock market points, which is the Dow Industrial Index, the S&P 500, and the Nasdaq. That way, you're not playing favoritism to any company. That money sits there to loan to other companies that are in trouble. But if they take that loan, then the government, if they have to file bankruptcy, the government takes over the company to make it profitable again. And then we do it again. Make the company profitable. The amount of money they took on a loan gets paid back plus doubled. So if they take 700 million, they pay back 700 million plus interest plus another 700 million to go into that fund. They get sold off when they become profitable.